that would attend that. If something had less views, there could also be ignorance, but it would be potential that that would be something valuable, so where it could be like a lot of people are running after exactly where the other people are. But if you were in an environment and you saw a lot, I'm going to make a video about part of this video where I'm leading to is that because you're around people does not mean you're in good company or safe or better off. But that's the instinct. Our instinct is to gravitate where people are because it would seem safe there. But where it seems safe, likely and sometimes, is the exact least safe place for to be in physically, but also to derive like resources and opportunities where you would see a lot of people maybe the worst position. So you see like a trough, like a feeding trough. Would you rather go to a trough with 8 billion people, or would you rather find something that's remote, unknown, unique, special, that would be that could be like something niche, whether a food source or food for thought or food in an environment. The least, the little, that with less traffic might actually constitute a degree of value, contrary to popular taste in inclinations. So some of the greater YouTubers that I've watched, they've had smaller traffic on their videos for a long point, and maybe just the nature of what they're discussing or their standpoint. But I just wanted to point out that there can be value where the trend is, but then there can also, it may likely also be value where exactly where the trend is not. So all I'm saying is that if 8 billion people are thinking this way, could perhaps there be another way, and that other way be valuable? And I don't mean to say another way as though it's settled for, but could there be value in appreciating that there could be, and then leaning into it, maybe developing a facility and understanding of something that wouldn't occur or would seem unlikely to 8 billion people? For me, that's appreciating that these clocks neatly and somehow appeared exactly where we started getting different forms of training, like in early education, and that training was not enjoyable to go through and didn't necessarily bring us the best outcomes in our own life. Maybe some good outcomes, but not the best as what our real true intentions and passion would have led us towards, even if we had engaged it when we were very young. And we were getting trained that whole time to do things against our will that whole time. Some of it may have benefited us and a lot of it may have not. That whole training was attended by a clock right there, but you didn't think that maybe that clock had been bogus or wasn't in your best interest, or was an actual tool of different forms of labor, labor protocols, going all the way up to indentured servitude and slavery in the industrial period and before, and presently with the clock. But I lost some. They took the energy down with this video because that wasn't where I was wanting to go. But what I want to say is that the main reason I'm making this video is because I want to share some lessons that I've learned. So I've said different things about how I started out trying to purchase a vehicle last at the end of last year and into this year. The vehicle didn't work out because it was completely compromised. The engine was compromised before I received it. Even as the person took it down off like a truck to give it to me, it could barely work when I first got it. Then it worked a little bit and soon did not work. So you actually can't go to the beginning of some stories because it just goes further back. But that happened. Different difficulty happened. Then I was having to share a vehicle with my family because that was my only means of livelihood at that point while doing sustaining independent work. While traveling home on foot from delivering the vehicle back to my family during daytime hours, I took a little bit of a different route than I normally would, and it would appear that I was being accosted and surveyed and stalked by a vehicle as I was on foot and as I was attired with a musical instrument. And I received multiple passes that I won't go exactly what I saw with that, but it wouldn't take a large stretch to appreciate that I could have been being accosted, stalked, interviewed for a horrible, heinous outcome, all the way up to an assassination and/or abduction. God only knows what a vehicle that you don't know could be following you for on foot. The dynamics of that day, some things that were going on with the infrastructure where I was at, it changed the calculus of how that could have played out, and that didn't have to be as horrible a day as a person's imagination could think that might be. Then about 2 weeks after that, I was accosted. I was doing a delivery at night in the area where I've delivered for a long time, and as I come back from a store to enter my vehicle, a car pulled up. Where they pulled up and how conveniently they pulled up, it's kind of unlikely that they would have just happened upon that point, because the way that the road works, you would have to actually come kind of around to get to that point. So there's a possibility that they may have followed me to that position, because I was coming back to that position where I was parked at. But just for them to appear right there, and it's potential that they could have followed like in a circle around a block, or they just appeared there. But it was a car full of young men, or just men that I didn't know. A full car of men. Now, think about the last time you got up in a car with a bunch of men to do something on a weeknight. When was the last time you were in a car with 4 men on a weeknight at night, driving slow with nothing clear, no clear objective, useful purpose? The 4 of y'all in a car. Now, they were young, so that might be more likely for people when they're young. But 4 men, 3 to 4 men with no clear purpose or intention, show up, and as though looking for directions but it's likely not that people would be asking directions of a civilian, as we have these many smartphones about us. Then roll the window down from the driver's position seat, engage me verbally with nonsense while leaning over, potentially at a weird angle, body position, as though perhaps clutching something in hand, or just having a weird, like you're coming out a window like this, like you're like leaning like that, not to look cool, but as though you would have like a physical reason to lean down like that. Engage someone with nonsense. I engaged the name of Jesus Christ at that point, and that might have affected the outcome of that. Those 2 incidents happened within 2 weeks, shortly before I left the vicinity where I was at, and they weren't the first. I can name at least half a dozen to a dozen similar experiences that I've had that would be as concerning as those, in different places at different times of day, that would be concerning over a period of time, as I'm not involved in any type of organization, like formal or street, to draw that type of attention. But then, so I left the vicinity on a motorcycle with a delivery platform that I use, and the platform, because the motorcycle it's not. I had a system for like wearing a scarf around myself, and then I'd have a delivery bag, and I would secure the bag to the scarf, and the bag it was sturdy enough to hold like a meal or 2 and a drink or 2. 2 would actually be better because it'd be more square in the bag like that while on a motorcycle, and it would be sturdy like that. But I had a couple series of things where I'd have like a store that store gave me a very like flimsy bag to put. They had a bag full of robust, generous food. I don't mean generous as in donation, but just like a generous serving of food. But it had a very flimsy bag, as though they were maybe cutting. A lot of your businesses, as upstanding as you think they are and outstanding they are, a lot of them they still have to cut corners to make the lights stay on, to make things work. And so a lot of people are tight for cash. Even people that have big old businesses that have a lot of traffic, when you get down to the meat and potatoes of it, a lot of people are strapped for cash. So they had like a flimsy bag. That bag burst inside of my sturdy delivery bag, made it filthy, compromised it. I no longer had that bag, so I had to figure out different bags that weren't quite as sturdy. Then at that point, there was some discretion on the app, where if you agree to an order but you can't complete it for one reason or another, you can decline it after having accepted it but not picked it up yet. I utilized that a handful of times because of the dynamics of, like, I think one had been like, I got my first order on a motorcycle with the platform I was at. It was for like large diapers, but a lot of diapers, and they wouldn't fit in the bags that I had with me. They were in bags themselves, but they wouldn't fit on me with a motorcycle without being not sturdy, and therefore a road hazard to myself and other traffic users. That's egregious if you're a professional like I am with driving. and you just know how a distraction or a careless hitching of cargo can affect yourself and other road users. That could potentially get someone killed. Man, woman, child, any age, any combination of man, woman, child, any age can get killed. You can kill a semi-truck driver by traveling with something that's not secure, because you just dropped something. It makes another car swerve. Now that semi-truck driver has to choose between crashing and killing someone because of what they did, because of what you did, and not securing something. So that's just a little bit of my thought process, just to be open with that. So then that happened. Then I'm doing another order into the city on a motorcycle, because you think, man, a motorcycle can't do all that a car can do, but it can probably do a lot, at least as I'm on hard times after having got robbed with a car purchase. And actually, a lot of these platforms, like at least two of the major platforms for delivery, they're the icon, the little loading cartoon that comes on when you're loading it. It's actually a person on a motorcycle, a scooter. I don't think actually a lot of people really as many people as use those delivery platforms. Where I'm at, I don't think a lot of people actually take the platform up on that and replicate that as a delivery method. But probably other parts of the world, they would more. That might be what they're referencing with something like that. But for me, the motorcycle wasn't helpful or sometimes feasible. And one of my first two runs, I'm taking an order to downtown, one of the two downtowns where I live, and this huge torrent comes over approaches me, comes over the road, where that kind of rain where you can get drenched in less than 30 seconds. I pull under a bridge. I call the platform like, hey, I don't think I can complete it because it's inclement weather. Okay, but how long would it take you to complete it? Can you still complete it? Well, yeah, I agreed to complete it and I have it with me, so I'm willing to go there, but it may not get there in time, and it also may be damaged because it's inclement weather right now. Okay, well, we understand that. We'll make a note of that. I go deliver it and I get penalized for it. It was late as hell and it was a little bit soggy because it was raining like crazy, but I still delivered the thing, and the person would still be entitled to a refund. But I sustained I sustained discipline for that. Then I leave the city because of those experiences, and as soon as I leave the city, I have been declining a handful of orders, but not a lot, not outside of the actual outside of the leeway that you're afforded with the platform. They changed the policy as I left, so that change put me on the edge of being able to use the platform. Then I have another order in a different city along my journey, where I was supporting myself from city to city, and I had a failure with the actual the vehicle I was using, which is a recent model vehicle. Failed. I failed the order. I failed the platform right then and there. So I was surviving with when that happened. I would start running out of fuel and accommodations for sleeping at night like that, to where I wasn't having enough to eat, travel, and sleep at night. More so, just I was getting very small, like Western Union contributions for my family because of the situation. But that vehicle I'm on, you can fill it up with about $6 or $7 at the most. More so about $6.50 if it's not completely empty. You can fill up the tank of the motorcycle. So with just small contributions of my family from money orders, not a lot, just barely a little, I was able to get to my first destination where I'd been headed. Then I get out, but I was stuck in one place because the first place that vehicle, it broke down. Then when it broke down, I had support from a different relative to get it fixed. It was a miracle that they were willing to help me with that, but they helped me and I got past that point. Then I was going to a bigger city where I was going to try to rebuild and figure things out. And I ran out of fuel shortly before I got to my lodging accommodation. Then I go to call AAA, which my family member did get a AAA for me prior to this when I was using a family vehicle, but they hadn't upgraded it to the motorcycle coverage, even though I had the coverage of the service. To show you how arbitrary things is. So you have coverage for emergencies, but not for the vehicle you use. Stuff like that, because it's always about tacking on charges in our paradigm. It's probably what's sending us all to hell at one point. Then I had to finagle the person that actually fields phone calls for emergencies, the best they could do was to just put me directly to a tow company that can support people who are stranded with no kind of financial support or even discount for having a membership on a reputable platform for helping people who are stranded. Then that person wanted to charge nearly $200 to bring fuel to my position, and all that they had to do was take a little canister to the closest gas station and fill it up and bring it to me. And then also the gas station where they came to, where I was at, I couldn't make that purchase of fuel with the support of a family member over the phone, because a lot of things they won't take anything if you're not in person to pay for it. Then I got past that. I got past that, and I keep journeying towards my destination in the Southwest. Then I get about maybe 300 miles from where I'm going, and I was in a small town. I just filled up, and I go to pull over. But when I pulled over, someone had been watching me, like a strange, like a person with a racist person, but also, when I say racist, because of how they engaged me based on my appearance, a racist person that also, and I wasn't having a helmet on, so someone could know what I looked like when I was doing that. But a racist person that's also a little paranoid. I get there. I'm going on a highway that's a certain name of a highway, but then there's an exit for old highway, the same name as what I'm on. So I say, dang, this might be it might be the same highway, or it might be a different version. I got to double check this to see if I stay on this or if I'm supposed to go to the other highway, because this is the last, because it's about to change right here. But when I pulled over, that person also pulled over, but from in front of me, and then they pulled over immediately out on the exit ramp. I went past them. They came back up to me like, "What are you doing getting off here? Are you following me? Are you?" So just, I won't explain all of that situation, but it was just a crazy person that thought I was following them. Then they go off a ways and come back up the exit ramp to re-engage me, to make sure I wasn't following them, as I had been sitting there for another couple minutes making sure I got my bearings. That could have been any manner of outcome, something like that. Then I get to the borderline of the state I was going to, and I have when I had got the motorcycle fixed the first time, they told me that there had been a nail in it, but it was still working, and I didn't want to get stuck in that town, so I kept going. I get to the border of where the state I was going, and now I actually do have a flat tire as I pull into a gas station at night, not far from where I'm going, within range and with enough fuel, but still having a flat tire. Then I pull over there, and I just started asking people, I asked the staff at the gas station, can you help me fill up a tire? Because it wasn't just outright leaking. I thought it might have leaked out, but not been completely flat where you can't fill it up. They knew next to nothing about tires, the people that work at a gas station, neither the people in the